Hold on.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Tipple's virtual wine tasting with Elizabeth and Jeff Beaudre, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines in Gainesville, Florida. This week, we're going to be drinking the Finca Rosé from Argentina.
Okay.
Here it is, as demonstrated.
Thank you.
Go ahead and pull up the first slide, please.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, so here we are. Willy Wong 89. So we always talk about how it's kind of fun once in a while to dip below the 90 pointers, right? Where people will say, oh, well, and it goes to show good wine can come in, any rating. So, well, almost. Food pairings in this guy. A bit more, well, I hear the other attendees rushing in.
They are coming in.
This one's kind of robust for a rosé. So we've got some pairings on here, right? So we've got pork chops with a rosé, feta and spinach tartlets, mango ceviche, or paella.
Okay, so because we have what my mother is giving us tonight. So we have chicken parmesan with squid ink pasta.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay. All right, cool.
Should be fantastic.
All right. Awesome.
And we'll talk about, all right, so Jeff just mentioned something, like I tossed it out as if it meant nothing, but a robust rosé. What is a robust rosé? We're going to find out.
Okay.
All right, so
Stop the share.
I'll tell you why. Yes, please stop the share.
Okay.
All right, so now is that wonderful time to crack that Stelvin enclosure open, as we talked about so fondly in our Australian.
You said Australia is what, like 90%?
98% screw tops.
Okay, I thought 98 and then I thought
No, you were totally right. Pour yourself a glass.
okay, so I hear it glugging, but that's not necessary with the rosé, right?
No, we're not looking for this guy to open up.
Okay, you were just looking to give me a lot quickly.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not going to hurt it.
Okay. But we don't, like, that's not necessary to aerate a rosé in any way.
No, it really isn't. Rosés and whites, not necessary. You'll see me, I will accidentally spin my glass. It's habit. And the other thing though, what it will do is it lifts up the nose so you can smell it more easily. It fills your glass, right?
It looks cool.
It also, well, if you say so, it looks good. I'll take it.
I'm spilling.
Yeah.
Don't let that get on the mouse. That'll be the second one I've destroyed today.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right. So take a breathe in of those guys. Or this guy. It's you got a really nice fruit and almost an herbal quality on this guy. Jumps out. It's like peaches and mango.
I'm not getting mango. I can do peaches.
Certainly peaches. Pear.
Some minerality. I agree. Yeah.
Minerality. Yeah, definitely.
Minerality.
There's a nice minerality and a bit of salinity on the finish, right? A little saltiness.
Yes, for sure.
Which is nice. And that's that food pairing kind of robust rosé, right? It's got a lot going on. But I think dominantly pear, peaches.
I feel like I'm getting like this is going to be weird, and like an unripened strawberry, like toward the white part.
That will tie it into a traditional rosé.
Okay.
All right, so traditional rosé, especially from France, is very much about the unripened strawberry.
Okay.
And then the melon rind.
I was going to say melon rind too.
Yeah,
But more like a honeydew melon rind, not a watermelon to me. Although I guess you could do one.
You can go either way, right? But I agree with both of those, and it has that, right? But it has something else too, with a little more lushness, a little more kind of there's a tartness, but there's a tropical note in here.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the minerals are really jumping out of the glass with it, which I think is a great balance. So if you've got higher fruitiness, if it's a wine that I'm going to enjoy, I don't want a wine that's nothing but fruit. I want it to be balanced. And I think it really does have a nice minerality balance. It's very dry. So even though we're dealing with some really nice bigger fruit, it is all it's not sweet.
No.
It's got a really nice tartness going on in there, which is what you want, that lift. It's one of the things you look for in a really nice rosé, is that texturally, you're talking about the acid tartness.
I also feel like prickles.
Okay.
On my tongue.
So that's a fun thing, right? So is there tannin in this rosé? Right?
That'll be our next blind tasting. Is there tannin? Okay. Oh, rosé all day.
There we
So
go.
yeah, a little
Nice.
early on it, but really like this one.
Well,
yeah.
what's funny about this is because I know Linda likes big, robust red wines. That's kind of why I chose this rosé. Is it's a rosé for people that like big red wines, right? So yeah, I would say there's a little puckering there of the tannin, right? There's a little tannin left in there.
So the skins are giving a little bit of tannin,
right?
Because that's where you get the color, right? Because it had
Skin
time on the
contact,
skin.
right?
Okay.
But minimal. So if you're
Okay.
getting some tannin with minimal skin contact, you might have some big, robust red wines involved.
Okay.
There's the difference of this rosé versus most rosé. Right?
Okay.
Most rosés pretty delicate reds, or delicate reds with some white.
Okay.
This one has some really robust reds involved in the process. And to me, that made a significant difference, which is why it was interesting to me and why for our rosé, I wanted to grab this one. So that's the kicker there. That's the thing that grabbed my attention for this one. So I like that we came to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Should I?
Yep.
Share?
Let's go ahead and share. All right. So
Next.
yes. Yep. Let's go to the
Okay.
label. So on the label on this guy, and I'm going to go through some of the things I do often without something up on this as well. I just kind of wanted to do it this way. This label is kind of intriguing, but before I get to the label, I'm going to go into a little bit more about the wine, right? So alcohol content on this guy, 12%, which we're talking about a white wine level, rosé level. 12% is about perfect. It's about where you want to be. Aging potential. That's a big negatory, right? You don't age rosé. It's not meant for it. It doesn't mean that you have to drink it within 1 year, but you want to go within 3, optimally 3. There are some French.
What is this one?
This one is from 21, so it's 1 year, right? So within a year, but you don't have to rush. Like some people are like, oh, if it's a 1-year-old rosé, it's gone. It's not if it's a well-made one. If it's a well-made, you can go 3 or 4 years, but it's not optimal. You kind of want to get in there in the first couple of years. Question from Paul and Linda. From Linda.
So when I was telling Paul, like if I smelled this and I didn't know it was a rosé,
white.
what'd you do, Paul?
Okay,
sorry, he hit a button. If I was blindfolded and I smelled it, I told Paul, I said, there's something about this that reminds me of Sauvignon Blanc, and I don't know if it's like it smells grassy, or there's some level of brightness, I guess, too. So it's robust, but it smells, there's something about it that if I didn't see it, I would think it could possibly be a white. So I don't know.
That is a really good observation, not just about this rosé, but about rosé in general. If you were to drink it in an opaque glass, and they do make those, they'll make a black glass so you can't see it ahead of time for really truly blind tastings. A rosé could easily fool you for a white. It should be closer to a white than a red. Some of the Spanish rosés I've had maybe lean the other way a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I definitely don't count as a negative. I think it's just a fun play on rosé. Rosé is not locked into a box, right? But and I think what's attracting you to it, and this is a tasting note that I really hadn't gotten into yet, is there's a bit of, because I really love running with the minerality and such, a bit of a hay quality to this guy. So where in a Sauvignon Blanc you would get a grassy and out fresh grassy quality, and maybe a lemongrass quality. With this guy, there is a grassy quality, but it's like a dried hay quality to it. I get it much more on the palate than on the nose, where you get a bit of a dried grass as the vegetal note. And I think that's a great call. Thank you, Linda. So, we covered the ageability, drinking. This guy's going to be stainless steel fermented. It's going to be all the way through. No, it's not seeing any oak. And
is that typical for rosés?
yes,
Okay.
very, very typical for rosé. Now, some of them, I've seen a few that actually throw a little oak on there for fun, but it's very unusual.
Okay.
So, all right, so let's go through.
So I'm looking at the label. There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on.
There's a lot
right?
going on. So we have specific fruits. Is that a lime in the middle? What is that in the middle?
It should be a lime.
Okay, it's lime, strawberries, grapes. Then we've got 2 flamingos.
There's like some raspberries. Yep.
Okay. And then are those flowers, roses?
Those, they're probably hibiscus.
Are they? Okay. They kind of look like roses.
Yeah, it could be roses.
Okay.
Could definitely be.
But I see Mendoza, Argentina. So I'm
Right.
looking at a specific region. And then it says the estate. What's confusing me is I see New York on there.
That's a very good point.
Okay.
That is, the password was New Mendoza, right? So
Okay.
this Wolfer Estate is a New York winery.
Then why does it say Argentina?
This is an Argentinian one. So Wolfer is an estate that is also a destination location. They actually grow their own grapes, right? They make their own wines, but they also work extensively with collaborations. So this is a collaboration with a winemaker from Argentina. It happened because the owners of both places adore horses.
Okay.
And it's right in front and center on the
Okay.
label. So they're both, they met because of the horse industry,
Okay.
into horses and horse country, and decided to work together.
Wow.
So that was the genesis of this. So Wolfer Estate does make their own rosé up in New York, which we can get. But then they worked with Mendoza to get this very interesting rosé as well.
So it's created in Argentina.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. But it's created in conjunction, how it's created is a product of them working together.
Yes.
Just in Argentina.
Right.
Okay.
And Wolfer does own land in Argentina.
Okay.
Now, these grapes don't come only from the land they own in Argentina, so it's not, because it would still be considered a state, right? But this is not an estate, which is part of what we'll look at.
Okay.
It's not listed as an estate wine because some of the grapes come from their Argentinian holdings and some do not,
Okay.
right? But so it's a collaboration wine. The winemakers absolutely work together on this wine.
That's very cool.
But you know, it's being distributed through the Wolfer Estate, which is in New York, United States.
So do they make any other, do they have any other collaborations?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah, which we'll go into when I go into the
Okay.
whole Wolfer Estate discussion later on. All
Can
right,
we
so
stop the share?
no,
Sorry,
go ahead and leave it
do
here.
back.
So like I say, it says Mendoza, that's because it's from there. Finca Wolfer. It's interesting because Finca Wolfer is the Spanish version of saying basically Wolfer Estate.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of just threw it in there. We've got the vintage, tells us there, imported by
Okay.
Wolfer Estate, right? So imported by them, but made by the other guy. So we go on to the back, Wolfer Estate Rosé. It's from Mendoza, Argentina. That makes me feel good. Wolfer Estate up in Long Island. They tell you a little bit about their things in the connection with the equestrian heritage right here. That story
Okay.
is on the back. So, okay, that's cool. Look at the very bottom left here, produced and bottled by Dominio del Plata, right? So I looked that up and that tells us who made it. And actually we'll have information on her as well.
Oh, her.
Yes. And she
That's
is
nice to
a
hear.
fascinating winemaker.
Okay.
So I get why they work together because this is actually, that makes it really, really interesting. So authentic Argentinian rosé. So you look at it and say, hey, it's rosé. Rosé is generally pretty easy to pick up on a regular basis.
Sure.
An interesting story. Why not get this guy, especially if you like horses, right?
Yeah.
It's on the label. Wait till you find out what it's made from. That makes it even more fun. So there is another level to this, which makes, when you learn the whole story, makes it even that much more interesting.
Okay, cool. Should I?
Let's go
Yes.
to the next one. Yeah, why not? Because we already talked about the taste of it, but we can jump back out now. that we've
Nobody
covered
else has talked about the taste.
it. Mhm.
You have, and then Linda did a little bit, but
Okay.
I don't know if anybody
Right.
else has any.
Now that you guys have had a minute to sip and sniff, what are you guys thinking on this guy?
Questions?
Mhm.
I just love that it's not too sweet, because like a rosé can go either way for me. As a red wine prefer, like the crispness that, like, I think that white strawberry was like head on when you said that. Head on? I don't know. what the
Spot
word-
on?
Thank you, spot on. Hit the nail on the head, all the things. Of just like, it's not too sweet. If you said strawberries, I would think sweet wine.
Mhm.
It's that pre-sweetened, like crisp, really good.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
What are you eating it with? Or what are you eating with it?
We do Taco Tuesday every Tuesday, but both the kids are sick, so we made taco soup.
Oh,
So it's like a light, spicy, which actually goes really well with this.
huh.
It's a very versatile pairing wine
Yeah,
because it
sounds
has more body than a lot of
Mhm.
rosés, right? It's not light bodied. I would
Right.
call it medium bodied. And, so let's go to the, before we move on, I'm going to talk about the varietal content on this guy. So
Okay.
what is this made of? What I keep talking about, oh, these interesting red grapes, right?
Mhm.
So this guy, and this is a mouthful, so bear with me. 33% Malbec,
Okay.
31% Pinot Noir. So you go Pinot Noir, more of a traditional rosé producer, not Malbec,
Mhm.
right? 9.5% Chenin Blanc, white grape, 9% Cabernet Sauvignon,
Okay.
right? 7.5% Torrontés, the national white grape of Argentina. 5.5% Semillon. Semillon is a hardy, kind of weighty white grape
Okay.
that's from Bordeaux, France. And 3% Bonarda. Bonarda is used more often in South America right now than other places, a little bit in California, but it's a hardy red again. And then 1.5% Syrah, and that's another hardy red.
Okay.
So if you were to go to Provence, you're dealing more with Syrah and Grenache with the more traditional. So Syrah is not unusual for rosé, but anyway, but I'm going to say Malbec, Cab, that is much more unusual.
Yeah, so that's where we're getting those tannins then from? Okay.
Yep.
All right,
All right.
next.
Go ahead, next. All right, so I'm gonna go into discussions of rosé a little bit. Let's talk
Wait.
about rosé.
I did pull these slides up before you got home.
Mhm.
Do you notice anything different about this slide?
Yes, the accent on the E.
I did, I put the accent on the E
Thank you.
for you on all the slides.
I appreciate it. Instead of the rise of rose.
Instead of the rise of rose,
That's
yes.
right. So countries that drink the most rosé. I think this was kind of interesting and it was surprising to me. So France is number one. Okay, not a surprise. USA is number two
Wow.
for rosé consumption. And USA was a real challenge for the rosé industry
Really?
because of white Zinfandel.
Oh, okay.
Remember,
Yeah,
we
that
just
makes
talked about
sense.
that with the
Yeah, that
Zin
makes
when we did
sense.
that, right? So white Zinfandel is very, very sweet and people just say, oh, I don't like sweet wine.
Right.
And there was a real problem of getting American wine drinkers to adopt rosé because they assumed if it was pink, it was sweet
Sure.
because of the crazy popularity of white
Mhm.
Zinfandel. So anyway, number three, go over to the UK. Now, if you look at the fall off from 1 to 2, we drink about half of what France drinks.
Yeah.
So it falls off precipitously,
Mhm.
but still, we're still number 2.
I mean, yes, we are definitely still number 2. It's surprising actually that we're that high up. I
Yeah,
look at it and think I'm surprised
it.
because I mean, when I think about wine drinkers that I know,
Mhm.
rosé is sometimes like in the summer, Sometimes you'll have a rosé,
Right.
right? But it's not something that I often see people drinking. So it just surprises me that we are that high up.
Well, I will make it a little less
Surprising.
proud.
Oh,
Please don't forget that
there.
White Zinfandel is included in this because it is technically a
Oh.
rosé. It's just not
Okay.
a dry rosé.
Okay. All
So
right.
because of the prevalence of white zin, I'm assuming it's faster.
So I'm not trying to be sexist. College women are driving this up because I drank sweet white zin.
It's not
back
just
in the
college
day.
women, believe you
Okay,
me,
all right.
it is really not. That is
Okay.
no, there's
So, but
just a
that
lot
is-
of women
That
that
is
drink
included
sweet.
in this.
Yeah,
It's
that-
not just the.
Sweet
okay.
rosés are included. This is rosés as a whole.
Okay, all right.
So-
That's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Makes a little more sense.
Mhm.
All right, so global rosé production. France by far the leader, then Italy, which is an interesting thing because I've had some Italian rosé and I really like it. But it's not all that common. Here it tends to be French or USA produced. And now in this case, Argentinian. Look at the Argentinian production. It's the farthest on the left. There's not a lot of Argentinian rosé being produced. So
No,
it
not at
is
all.
minimal.
Mhm.
So another special quality for this rosé. Another reason it grabbed my attention.
So, because this does include not just dry.
Mhm.
So when I'm looking at Germany, I'm thinking, would that be sweet, like automatically then?
I have never had a German rosé.
Really?
Yes,
That sounds like something.
there is
we need
not
to
a lot
have.
that is shared.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
right. So
okay.
I can't tell you.
You
what
gotta
it is.
call, you
Because they
gotta call
could-
Jerry, he's over there, have him
Right.
bring you back
I
one.
mean, like, honestly, it could be a dry rosé of Spätburgunder, which is Pinot Noir,
Oh,
right? So
okay.
that's entirely like,
Okay.
but I can't say for sure. All right, so wine, rosé drinking by the state.
Mhm.
So here's one where I'm a little disappointed in Florida, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're number 8, looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so number 8 now out of
Still,
50, not bad.
we're high up there. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Mhm.
We are so hot. It's such a hot state.
That's hot.
Rosé should be the wine of choice, pretty much.
That is true.
For the state of Florida.
I'll just take that. I'm a little disappointed in Florida. You can just stop right
Right
there. It
there,
doesn't
right.
have-
No, I mean, you look at it's pink, it's dry, you drink it cool. It's
There's
very flexible.
flavors on the label.
Right, it's very
Come on.
flexible with food pairings. It just makes sense. You can drink rosé in Florida in February and it still is not silly, right?
True.
You won't walk outside and have it instantly become a slushy,
Which
like in New
makes
York,
you wonder why in New York, Vermont,
right?
Connecticut. Yeah. Okay, wait, we have some chat. Oh, flamingos. Exactly.
Flamingos, right.
Love
Exactly.
flamingos.
So I believe that a lot of this is when you look at it, rosé spikes up in more metropolitan areas.
Okay.
And rosé consumption spikes dramatically in metropolitan areas,
Okay,
right? In
yeah.
cosmopolitan areas.
Right.
So in Florida, even if we were to do a subset, this would be dominantly South Florida.
Mhm.
But I think the next slide will surprise you.
Okay. Ready?
Yes. So this is interesting. A lot of this is, well, here we go. Metro New York drinks 20% of all the rosé that's imported into the country by itself. Miami drinks 15%, right? So it's metropolitan, right?
Sure.
But what is really cool, look at the bottom right. The split of male drinking to women drinking, women drinking to male drinking rosé. What would you have guessed? The split would be
70-30.
70-30. I think that's generous. Jake guessed 90-10. I would have guessed a good 80-20,
Mhm.
but 55-45. That is surprising and makes me happy. There's the one stat from the US that's like, all right, it's almost 50-50 men and women drinking rosé.
Yeah. Yeah. That is surprising.
Right. Rosé is not sweet and not a woman's drink. It's good, genuine wine. It has its place depending on what you're working with. If it's warmer and you need a flexible food pairing, jump on rosé. It's not an other than wine.
Well, yeah, and it's one of the things that I mentioned with being in the summer, but you're right, it doesn't have to be summer for us.
Nope.
Yeah.
This would be a great Thanksgiving one.
I'm gonna make a list of how many things you say
There's-
that about.
Well, I'm not saying it about Cab or Malbec or
Okay.
Syrah, you know.
All right. Oh, wait, we have a question.
Yeah, so it's crazy that Metro New York City drinks 20%, Miami drinks 15%, and yet there's that much of a drop off between New York and Florida in the rankings. What is it about Miami that they're drinking so much rosé?
Well,
It's really hot there.
Really hot in all of Florida.
They're
Maybe affluence, or I was going to use a different word, but
we can
it
probably
could be
talk
that,
afterward, too.
but the other thing too is don't forget how many New Yorkers are down in South Florida. So they're bringing their preferences down with them and still drinking it and getting their friends to drink it.
Yeah,
So that could very much also be a New York influence.
there is very much a New York Miami pipeline, because there were a lot of people that I went to school with that went back and forth between the two. So, yeah, for sure. Plus, I'm thinking like there's New York and Miami, not Miami as much internationally, but definitely domestically. There's a lot of entertainment that connects the two. There's a lot of like fashion and stuff that connects the two. I mean, there's definitely a connection between those two cities. Wait, we have some more chat. Food pairings, South Beach. Yeah, exactly. Both on the coast.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's a good point. Yeah, coastal seafood's more important. It pairs beautifully.
International communities, period, in both places
that's
too.
true.
Yeah. So in fact, since France is so high, I mean, there's obviously not as much of a French influence in South Florida, but international visitors, travelers, people that just have homes in different places, there's a lot in both places. So.
Sure, that makes sense. I think that is a lot of the connection.
Yeah.
So. Next one, please.
Okay.
All right, so we're dealing with 6 different grapes here. So we're kind of all over the map as far as intense skin thickness and intermediate zone versus the grapes that are dealing with thinner skins and high acid in the center. And that is the winemaker's choice, right? That makes sense. They did it on purpose to create this wine. So they know their job. They're working with grapes of all different styles. I liked how they did kind of make it Malbec dominant, which is also putting an Argentinian stamp on it.
Sure.
So there we go.
So, but can we generalize as the white grapes are fairly bringing this, and
Right.
then we've got robust red and less robust.
So the tannins are going to come from more of the Malbec and the Cab,
Mhm.
Cabernet Sauvignon, right? And then the Pinot Noir is going to be their kind of, and in the middle, a little something for everybody, a little bit of color and flavor, some nice acid left over. But then you've got Chenin Blanc, Torrontés, and Semillon, and the white grapes bringing in. So Chenin Blanc is going to bring you some of the more lifting. It tends to be more apple pear, and I did mention pear, right? The other thing would be melon. Chenin Blanc can bring you melon qualities. Torrontés can also be apple pear and melon. And then Semillon tends to be more melon, some honeydew and honey richness, which I'm not getting as much of that through, but it has a weight, right? So we're dealing with 5.5% Semillon. So it's more like it adds some weight to what's going on. Bernarda is a fruity charactered wine. In this case, I think it was 3%. So I think it added just a minimal.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Just a
then
hint of it.
Syrah, yeah.
And then Justin Mason Cup, I would be curious to see the wine appreciation as a whole and how rosé follows. He says they drank a lot of rosé in the summer in Seattle.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yep.
Which makes sense. Those sweltering Seattle summers.
Are they sweltering in Seattle?
No, that's why I was kind of teasing.
All right.
I mean, look.
I didn't know how their
For-
summers were. I thought, well, maybe their
Look,
summers.
for Seattle, they are, right?
Man, they hit 80 today.
Yeah,
Woo.
right. Yeah, and you don't want to be without air conditioning at 80, 85 degrees, right? That's,
Yeah, that's true. Oh, they hit
Yeah.
101 once. See that?
well, that must have been awful because
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
way they were ready for it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, part of it is like, it's like if we suddenly had a week with our temperatures not going above 50 degrees. Right, and we
get
were
that
low, But,
sometimes. I mean,
well, let's say,
once in a while.
let's say if we had a week where we didn't go above 40 degrees
Yeah,
and
no.
it was going down to like 20 every night, right?
Right.
Which is not nearly as cold as when you get up to, say, northern Minnesota.
Well,
And they would make fun of us because they're like, you would lose your minds.
it's, what was it, like 3 years ago or something? It was before COVID, so I
Mm.
guess 3 years ago, when Atlanta got all of that snow and everybody was stuck on the highways and the northerners were making fun of them. But
The
there's
ice,
no snow
ice.
plows and there's no salt. You're not prepared for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, somebody grabbed the mic.
I said the ice. It was an ice, all that ice.
Oh, right, there's ice storm that ran across, that's right,
No, ice is super bad to drive in too.
yeah.
Oh, and then either Linda or Paul would love for it to be a high of 40. Linda? Okay, no, I would be in Reese's swim parka to walk the dog, which is what I do. It's insulating. It's great. I put on Reese's swim parka and fleece pants. If it's 40 or below, and Jeff's makes fun of me the whole
Well,
time.
because I'm very happy.
I'm
'cause I
warm,
like it.
I'm good.
I like it cool.
Not me. Some like it hot.
That's right.
and some
I want to
like
live with the
it
grapes.
heat is hot. You ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so where in the world are we? Kind of an interesting, fun one, right? Because we are producing here
But we're
and
distributing.
collaborating and distributing from here. So right about the middle of both, but let's say the important thing for what we're drinking is we are in the central part of the southern hemisphere's growing latitude.
And are we on that western side there?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're right up here against the Andes Mountains. Which we were going to. So we're in Mendoza within Argentina. So, you know, we've had some from Uruguay. We've enjoyed some Chilean. In this case, we're in Argentina. And their most famous subregion is Mendoza. Within Mendoza, we are in the Uco and the Maipo. All right, so right around here. So very much within Mendoza, running up into the foothills of the Andes is the only important thing, you know, where they're getting from those regions. Which this kind of gives you just a little closer. So we have the Luján de Cuyo, and then we have the Valle de Uco down here. With the rivers running through, some rivers so important. So we're dealing with at the foot of the Andes Mountain, 2,000 to 3,000 feet above sea level. It just keeps going up and up and up. So when you get to the foothills, they're as high as a lot of our mountains are. Technically, it's a desert.
Oh, that's right.
Extremely low rainfall, if any, during the growing season. They're in the rain shadow of the Andes Mountains. But they have plenty of water for irrigation. You can see the rivers here because of the snow melt that, you know, from the Andes Mountains.
Sure.
So the Andes make it all possible. They make it a desert and they also provide water, but only where it needs to be, making it the most wonderful area in the world, probably, to grow wine. It just seems like it was made for it.
Yeah.
So. And there's what it looks like, right? I really want to go.
Yeah, no, it looks like a postcard.
Yeah, it does. Oh, we have a chat.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
can
right.
See the minerality, absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll see, because a lot of this is wash from, let's see, here we go, here we go.
Okay.
From off of the mountains. So we're
Mhm.
dealing with pebbles, clay, just silt that comes down and is washed down from the river and has been deposited along this plain
Yeah.
out of the mountains. So, and the mountains were at one point volcanically produced as they were thrust out of the earth's crust. So you're dealing with a ton of minerality. It's a great place to grow grapes. And here is some of the irrigation coming off of those rivers.
So they just like make troughs from the rivers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then they don't do this all the time. You see, this is winter.
Okay.
right? So you nourish and baby those vines and then cut it all off when they're producing, right? Because you need them,
You want them to struggle.
you got to get them to struggle.
Yep.
They'll put a lot more effort into making the best possible grapes that
Mhm.
they can make. So Wolfer Estates, not too shabby looking, right? In Sagaponack, New York, established in 1988 by Christian Wolfer. His two sons are now involved in running it as well.
Okay.
They produce their own red, white rosés from the estate
Mhm.
and from some surrounding areas as well. So they play with a lot of different ways. They work with estate wine, they collaborate, they act as a negotiant and purchasing things. They also have a hard cider line that they bring in from Rochester, and they also have a distillery that they work with. So they play with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
It's also what's the word I'm looking for? A destination location.
Oh, you
right?
said
So,
that before. Yeah.
And they have the horse stables as well. So they work with all of those, and they have them on site.
That's really cool.
Next one, please. So here's the tasting room. Obviously, it's just a gorgeous place. Certainly
Yes.
be
No, it's
a lot of
beautiful.
fun to go visit.
Mhm.
Mhm. And
Is it, I remember we were looking at when we had the New York wine and there were kind of those 3 sections. Is it in that area or not?
no, it's actually further east.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah, because that was up by the Finger Lakes.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's right. That's why it had the 3 sections.
Right.
The Finger Lakes going down. Okay.
Yeah, this is a different
So
area.
this is a different area.
Mhm.
Okay.
And-
Oh, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, but that they have a fireplace somewhere in here that like, because doesn't it look like a lodge?
Yeah, right. This should-
Mhm. Oh, there we go, the stables.
And there we have the stables, right? And so I thought, well, it features prominently into why we have this wine today.
See, if
Should
we
be-
had better weather, Ocala could do this too. Yeah.
That would freak everybody out if our humidity went suddenly low and we could grow wine here.
It would be really nice, though. Our hair would be
It would
fantastic.
be, oh, yeah. And we
Yeah.
have the sand in the soil. Like
Yeah.
our soil is pretty porous and doesn't have a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
does not have a lot of organic material to share. So there could be, except for the humidity, some well-grown wine here.
Yep.
But the humidity,
Yeah, well, there you go.
anyway. Next one, please. All right, so here we are. Susanna Balbo is the winemaker, and she has several wine estates that she works with. So she's really cool. All right, so she is known as Argentina's first female winemaker.
Oh, wow.
She was the first one to graduate as an enologist from their educational system. And she's the queen of Torrontés. So she had a lot of work done with the white wines, but she works with all of them now at this point. And like I mentioned before, Torrontés is Argentina's national white grape.
That's right.
So
Is that an official thing or is that just they're the ones that they?
no, it's really not anywhere else.
Okay.
And so within Torrontés and within wine, could there possibly be some discussion and disagreement? Yes. So Torrontés, Argentinians insist is in indigenous grape, separate indigenous grape.
Okay.
But other people have looked and done some genetic testing, and they believe it's actually a crossover from an indigenous grape and a white grape brought over by early settlers and the monks that brought things over there.
Okay.
So is it entirely indigenous? Is it partially? But it's, you know what? It's the white grape for Argentina,
So it's been
and
there
it's not
for
anywhere.
hundreds of years at least. though.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, no one else is growing it. It's
Okay.
not anywhere else, so.
Okay.
So she graduated in 1981 and began her career.
Ah.
Just run it from there. So
Next.
next one, please. There she is.
So you said she's native Argentinian.
Yes.
She,
Yep,
okay.
in the first.
But other women have followed in her footsteps and are now making
Yes.
wines as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Laura.
And you wonder if
Laura
that's,
Catena.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
You wonder if this is Torrontés in her glass.
Probably,
Mhm.
probably is.
Ready?
Yes. All right, so
We should stop from.
we'll stop for a minute, catch our breath. I've thrown a lot out there. Any thoughts come to you guys or questions about what I have presented? Because I'm just going to drink until you say anything. So.
Can I have some?
She's asking for more rosé. That is the sign of.
Thank you. But it doesn't necessarily mean anything the other way. Sometimes it's, you know, if I don't ask for more, it doesn't necessarily mean. But
Yeah, but you like it.
if I ask for more, it means I liked it.
Excellent. All right, well, let's jump over. We'll talk about, so Willy Wong gave it an 89 points. So he put it right under outstanding.
Mhm.
So right in the very good, I honestly, very good to jumping to outstanding is like with language is hard, right? Everyone defines things a little
Well, it's
differently.
subjective.
In that thing. Anyway, so he's got it right at the bottom of outstanding rosé.
Mhm.
The bottom line is this: is it well made? Does it have special qualities? Right? He says it's a very good wine, well made with special
Mhm.
qualities. Does it have an outstanding character, wine of superior character and style? And don't forget that you're factoring in not only what you like about this wine and about wine in general, but this wine compared to other rosés, and potentially this wine compared to other rosés of the same price and other rosés of the same location. So it's just an amalgamation of all these thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very much rating and art, which is difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can go ahead and.
So there
throw
are no
your
wrong
stickers
answers.
in the chat box. It's just what it is for you.
Yeah. I like to go over those, not because I'm trying to get you to do something. I just
Mhm.
want you to think about, all right, the whole picture. Here we go.
I think we should visit the winery in Argentina. Absolutely.
I think you're right.
Yes. And we have some wineries too in Uruguay that I would really like to visit as well.
Yes, I went to visit during, say, their summer or their spring,
Okay,
you know, so that you can enjoy the nice time down there.
that's true. Otherwise it would be way too cold.
Well, the nice thing is you can escape our, you know, hideously hot summer and go right down there for winter. But it's going to be maybe too cold
Too
then.
cold.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So let's see, we have an 89 from Paul and 93 from Linda.
Wow.
Linda really likes this and liked it right off the bat. 89 from Linda, 85 from Brenda, Laura and John, and 90. Wow, that's a big split.
Yeah.
And then Julie, yes, I'm down. She's down to go to South America to go visit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Brian and Julie both gave it a 90.
Nice.
And then I don't remember your first name, so you have to tell me what it is, but Sergeant Fricker. Think of rosé as a sweeter wine, but this has good depth, 89. Mhm.
Nice.
Yep. And actually, I would agree. I like it, but I would do an 89.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that's not like, there's no apology. That's a very good wine rate.
Okay. Taja.
Tosh. Right, there we go.
Okay, awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, 89 is an excellent wine
Mhm.
rating. It's a wine rating that the winemakers should tout and put out.
Yeah, absolutely. And Consuelo says
Consuelo's,
89
yeah.
as well. Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great rating.
Mhm.
And it makes sense, especially when you're talking about rosés, which traditionally kind of get a little undervalued for what they are.
I liked what we had to talk about and everything, and I was actually able to identify
Mm.
some things, which I was very pleased with. Yeah, I like it. It's a nice rosé. It's very, like you said, we should be drinking more rosé because we're so hot. Yeah.
Be amazing with shrimp. You know,
Mhm.
that's the thing, you know. I think, wait a
Yeah.
minute, shrimp is pink. Rosé, yes, yeah.
There are flamingos right on there. How did they get the pink color?
You know what?
Yeah.
It probably goes really well with flamingo.
No. Yeah, another one for girls' night. Exactly.
Hey,
Yes. Any other questions, comments?
all right,
Okay,
let's thank our sources and we will talk about next week's wine.
Florida Thanksgiving.
Florida Thanksgiving,
I think
perfect, yeah.
you're not suggesting we eat flamingo for Florida Thanksgiving, are you? Just.
He could be. He's not saying that. We don't have any flamingos in our neighborhood yet, but we do have some ibis now, so.
We have a lot of ibis, and if you don't like the University of Miami, there are tons of ibis in our neighborhood, so.
Okay,
Ready?
yes, let's thank Wine Folly, always amazing source. Thank you so much. 750.com, Wikipedia, wine.com, Vine Pair.
I think that's the first time we used Vine Pair.
Vine Pair is a great resource. They have a lot of things, but they had all the stuff on the rosé.
Ah,
So
okay.
it was really helpful. Profile Wine Group and Wolfer itself.
Okay, so now we go to the next, what's next week?
Next week, here we are.
Okay, wait, before I ask you that, I want to stop because I want to ask you because I've been thinking it the whole time. Chicken Parmesan
Mhm,
is very, because you said it'll pair well,
mhm,
but I'm thinking like it's very, like there's a lot of tomato sauce
Right.
there,
Yeah,
which
luckily-
I associate with having red wine, but it's probably, so. go
but
ahead.
it's chicken, right? So,
Well, it's chicken, yeah.
yeah, so you end up with this, it's hard to pair kind of thing, right?
Okay,
Rosé kind of makes it perfect,
okay,
especially a more robust rosé to deal
Okay.
with the tomato.
okay. All right, so now next week.
Next week, you guys have followed me around. We've done some fun things. We're gonna do one more super fun guy. We are headed from Mendoza
Mhm.
to, for the first time ever, Macedonia.
Oh, really? Nope, I did stop share, sorry. Now you never get to see it.
Never get to
Bye,
know.
Cheers.
Okay. It's like I'm running it by
There you
myself.
go.
Macedonia, just north of Greece.
Okay,
All right, indigenous grapes,
Mhm.
red blend, from Barovo, Macedonia. Ratings 92, Jevdonic 91. I will say they have gotten ratings over the years at 96 and 97 for the same wine.
oh, wow.
All right, so
Okay.
vintage to vintage. I wouldn't say that you need to look at that and say, oh, this is 97, this one's 92, that's not as good. No, I'm saying these are all really good ratings, and
Sure.
because of the subjectiveness, you know,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Excellent wine. All of my big red wine lovers will be able to instantly like this wine,
Okay.
even though you've never had these grapes before. You will find the ability to hang your hat on flavors and style that you really like. The
I'm
great,
excited.
so, let's see, very bold, food pairings, bison burgers, beef bourguignon, mushroom ravioli, and a hunter sauce. Yeah, big, rich, savory meal. And
Okay.
so you will be well rewarded for joining us to learn about Macedonian wine.
I'm excited. We've never been there. That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun to find a new one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right, we have it. Yum. There we go.
There is
Yeah,
some- yeah.
absolutely.
no, seriously,
I was
it's,
looking at that and thinking, are you making the mushroom ravioli and yourself? Well, my mom's making whatever she's
Right.
making. I can't tell her what to make because she'll stop sending me things.
so, yes, yeah, join us. You guys will love this wine. It is really, really good.
So there's a question as to what hunter sauce is.
Hunter sauce, it's a brown sauce.
Yeah,
Um,
it's almost like a gravy, but not.
It's almost like a sauce meets gravy,
Yeah.
savory kind of thing. A
Mhm.
little lighter body than a
They
gravy.
put it on venison a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, look it up. It's quite good.
Mhm.
Well, it's simmered with mushroom. So I was like, well,
Right.
that obviously goes with mushroom.
Right.
So, but I remembered the mushroom sauce from the Sovereign that was on the venison.
We talk about this all the
Right.
time.
And I thought that would be amazing because I was trying to think of a sauce that I
Mm-hmm.
wanted on top of the mushroom ravioli. So I actually made up the idea for that recipe. I didn't
Did you?
find that recipe.
Okay, well, there you go.
So
It's been
now
a
I probably have. to
very
make it.
long time now since the sovereign's been around.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah,
The
I
Sovereign
know.
moved on.
Okay,
All right.
so
So
does anybody have any questions or comments before we end the recording?
all
Nope.
right, then we're
Okay.
going to have a toast.
All
Thank you
right.
for joining us. New York to Argentina to
Cheers, everyone.
Florida. Happy travels, happy wine.